I got 15 minutes to rant, so here we go.
Welcome to the Bitter Medicine Podcast, where it's all about Black empowerment. Our show focuses on Black news and entertainment, arts, science, economics, history, people, and strategies that uplift, empower, and motivate Africans within the diaspora. And now, your host, whose favorite color is black, Goku.
Yes, indeed, I am your host, Goku. Welcome back to another rant from me and the Bitter Medicine Podcast. So we're talking Coming to America, or Coming to America Part 2, the sequel to, I think it was 1988 when the original film came out. I'm old enough to have seen the film in theaters. I remember the film was rated R, and I remember how as a kid, it was kind of funny sitting through R-rated material while the elders were around. This sequel, 33 years later, is not R-rated. It's PG-13. So that alone should have told you what to expect when watching this film. Now, spoilers ahead, and I'm going to give you whether it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It's neither. It's in between, because at the end of the day, this film was really a fan service film. It's really a nostalgia trip, right? Because it's amazing to see how many folks from the original film 33 years ago are still around today and looking pretty good at it too, right? I think the only glaring omission was the mom from the original film, who died, years ago. But other than that, most of the main players are still around and still in the film. So it has that to it, right? Again, if you weren't around when the original film came out, right, you might not feel that nostalgia. So I see a lot of people saying it wasn't funny, the film wasn't funny. I would say it wasn't a slap you knee type humor, but, it was humorous. And I'm going to give you an analogy for what I like in the film too in a minute. Let's talk about the film itself. Let's talk about what the film is about. So again, the film stars Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall, returning as the characters Prince Akeem and Semi, respectively, from Coming to America, right? The setup for this sequel is basically... that's kind of the thing too. It's a pretty straightforward story. Akeem, Eddie Murphy's character, learns that he has an illegitimate son in the U.S., so he and Semi return to the U.S., particularly Queens, New York, to find this child and prepare him to become heir to the Zamunda throne. The reason why they have to do that is because Akeem's father, who's played by the voice of Darth Vader, why am I drawing a blank? Anyway, you know what I mean. He has died in the film. Again, like I said, spoilers, right? James Earl Jones. He has died in the film, and he tells his son Akeem that you need to have a male heir. And the story behind it is that you only can have a male heir, right, on the throne. And as it stands, Akeem and Lisa from the original film, they have 3 daughters, right? So already we see that the film has this modern day thing to it, this social justice warrior thing, this kind of feminism thing. So, a lot of the story is about, folks feeling unsatisfied or dissatisfied with the fact that the laws have it where his oldest daughter, who's been preparing herself, cannot ascend to the throne, and they had to go and get this kid, this bastard child, as they kept repeating in the film, to go and fill the role. So we know that there's likely to be tension there just basically on the setup. What they did do in the film was what they tend to do nowadays when they do these sequels that you know, these long-awaited sequels, like what they do in Star Trek and stuff like that, where you get to see some of your favorite characters and stuff like that. But what they didn't do in the film is, and I think this is the part of the film that doesn't work, whereas the first film worked very well. The first film obviously was about this African character coming to Queens, New York. So they were dealing with the fish out of water storyline, right? And, you know, New York in the late 80s was an interesting place, you know. And so you got to see this person who's from a different continent, right, come here and become adjusted to the ways of the folks here in the U.S. And in that, there's comedy. There's usually some comedy in the fish out of water story. There's really no fish out of water story here, right? Akeem's illegitimate son, I think his name is Lavelle, right? Played by Jermaine Fowler. And I like Jermaine Fowler. That's one of the reasons why I watched the film, too. Because I like the fact that he's a senator. I used to watch him on this show he had called Superior Donuts. I think that was the name of it. And he's a funny dude. And so it's nice to see when the dude who was just coming along. It's the same with Kevin Hart. I remember Kevin Hart way back in the day, right? Before any of the films and stuff. So it's just nice to see them kind of come along. And of course, the film also stars Leslie Jones as the mother to this illegitimate son. Now, here's the problem I have with Leslie Jones' character. And the problem I kind of have with the American blacks in the film. And it's kind of an old-time, you know, stereotype that's being used here, like, you know, loud and, you know, just over-the-top type stuff. And Leslie Jones is known for being kind of over-the-top and loud because she's a big gal, right? She's like a 6-foot-something tall woman. So, you know, she has that kind of thing going on about her. But there's a scene in this thing that really irks me. Talking about social justice warriors and whatnot. And that scene is like Leslie Jones basically date rapes Prince Akeem, Eddie Murphy's character. And everyone's bigging up Leslie Jones for her performance. Some people call it a tour de force, comic performance, etc. But no one's talking about that storyline. Let me tell you something. If I was to write a film, especially with black characters, and I push that type of date rape story, they will throw me under the jail. They'll throw me under the bus at least. My name will be dirt. But for some reason, no one's really talking about this aspect of the story. So anyway, that's the setup for the story. The kid, Lavelle Johnson, who's Akeem's illegitimate bastard child, should be a fish out of water, but it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work, and they use some old tired tropes with lions, and you know, you gotta go through this rites of passage and involves lions and all that kind of stuff. To me, it just falls flat. The original film was funny because Eddie Murphy in that time was funny. He was in his bag at that time, so to speak. Right? So he played the character, the naive, wide-eyed Akeem, navigating, you know, Queens, New York, you know, and he was kind of like the heart of the film. There was also the story with the father, not James Earl Jones, but the father from McDowell's, who has a few scenes in this film, but not that much, right? So, you know, that's the biggest part of the film. Two things. This film is rated PG-13. And the analogy to that, I would give it is almost like they made a Coming to America Nickelodeon TV movie. Where the idea was you had Eddie Murphy and them in the pilot, and then you're going to turn it over to the children, right, to the young folks in the film. And by the way, I don't know who did the casting, but kudos to them. Eddie Murphy's 3 daughters, the other girl who's the barber or whatever, Tiana Taylor, beautiful. I mean, every woman in this thing, damn near, was beautiful as hell, right? So much props to him or her who did the casting. But that's how I saw this film. I saw this film more like it was a Nickelodeon TV movie. It's PG-13, so you know already they can't do some of the things they were able to do in the original film. They tried to copy some of the scenes from the original film, and again, it was PG-13, like the film where in the original where my man Eddie Murphy is laying in the hot tub and a woman naked comes up out the water and says the royal penis is clean, your highness. Like they tried to recreate it with Leslie Jones's character. Fell flat. It fell flat, and a lot of the gags fell flat. Even they brought back sexual chocolate towards the end, and he's old and looking bad, and it's nostalgic, and in that there's a humor, but it's not funny. So those are the two things. It's a trip down memory lane. Number one. Number two, the rating didn't allow it to be, edgy, so to speak. PG-13 ratings, that's for kids up to, kids 13 and stuff could watch those films, so they're not gonna really push it the way Eddie Murphy can push it. And I'll say number three, Eddie Murphy and those guys aren't hungry like they used to be. Let's be real about it. It's 33 years later. They're not hungry anymore to really be edgy, to really be funny, to go where others haven't really gone, or where others dare not go. It falls flat on many ways. But again, if you went into this film with high expectations, then you would be disappointed. If you went into this thinking that this was somehow going to be as funny or funnier than the original, then you took a loss on that one. A couple things to mention is Wesley Snipes is pretty good in it. The guy is versatile. And shout out to Eddie Murphy and them for giving him a role in that film, because, Hollywood has kind of done a number on him a little bit, just a little bit. So Wesley Snipes was pretty good in the film. He's funny as General Izzy. Tracy Morgan as Uncle Reem. I don't know. Tracy Morgan, just not funny to me. I feel like I've seen his character before in other things that he's done. Lunell is in it. She might as well didn't even be in that. She didn't do anything in the film. They brought back the white boy from the original film. He's in it for a little minute, right? And then Eddie Murphy's bread and butter, playing multiple characters. They brought back the barbershop when they were in Queens. They brought back the barber. They brought back your man who eats chicken, who's Arsenio Hall. They brought back the old Jewish dude and stuff like that. But to me, they weren't hilarious. To me, if you're gonna bring them back and make them super funny. But again, ratings is the rating of the film is the problem. So, what am I ultimately saying about the film? You can check it out. It's not a problem to check it out, but reel in your expectations, right? In the end of the film, going back to that social justice warrior point, at the end of the film, Eddie Murphy's character changes the rules so that his daughter can take the lead, as queen of Zamunda in the future. So that's the whole social justice warrior thing. His wife browbeats him into that, by the way. And then the son, they actually make him like an ambassador to the U.S. or something like that. And the son doesn't marry Wesley Snipes' daughter, who's played by Tiana Taylor, who is looking absolutely wonderful in this film. But he doesn't marry her. He marries the groomer the person who was cutting his hair and all that kind of stuff. Who's also beautiful too, a British. I think she's African, but by way of Britain or whatever. Beautiful, beautiful sister too. I was really floored by how attractive all these women were in the film. So that's basically the story. Eddie Murphy finds out he has a son. They try to bring him over to take the place of, to be a future king. Even though Eddie Murphy's daughter, legit daughter, was kind of training to be that. By the end of the film, the son marries not the other general's daughter, but he marries the groomer. Eddie Murphy's actual legitimate daughter, so to speak. The path is paved for her to take over Zamunda in the future. In between is Leslie Jones making a bunch of noise, being loud as ever. Tracy Morgan adding very little. Lunel adding nothing. Wesley Snipes being okay. Michael Blackson having a little bit of a funny moment for about 2 minutes of the film, if that, and then he was gone. Arsenio Hall didn't really do anything in the film, to be honest. And there it was. That was Coming to America too. There is an end credit scene everyone kept talking about that I had to go back and wait for the end credit scene. Bullshit. Nonsense. Not worth it. So look, if you're old enough to remember the original film, and I'm talking about the original film in its time frame. I'm not talking about you came 15 years after the film came out and you saw it for the first time. I'm talking about if you're old enough to remember it in the 80s itself, in 88 when it came out, right? Because a lot of times these movies have a certain time frame to them, right? That if you watch it later, you won't get it, right? If you're old enough to watch it then, you can watch this understanding that it's nowhere near going to be as funny, but it's nice nostalgia. And that's about it. If you're new to it completely, let's say you're some 15-year-old today, you might like it because a lot of those Nickelodeon type comedy films do numbers. So this you might like actually, and you're old enough to know who Jermaine Fowler is and some of the daughters, I'm sure, and so you might like it. But for you old heads like Roland Martin and them, I see talking about it's funny, you need to stop lying, guy. It's okay. It's more so, nostalgic. Anyway, guys, that's my 15 minutes. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you guys check out all the other shows on KWAZ Radio, like the Harsh Reality Podcast, the Pro-Black Perspective, and the Queen's Council, and other shows coming down the road. Until next time, peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.